Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Imperfect Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Kendra Corman, and today we're talking about the challenge that many of us entrepreneurs face maximizing productivity and actually doing marketing while wearing multiple hats. As solopreneurs, small business owners, entrepreneurs, we find ourselves juggling a wide range of responsibilities from marketing and sales to operations and finance, and of course, chief bottle washer, right? In this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about some strategies for prioritizing tasks and managing your time effectively to avoid burnout. Let's get started. First off, why are we talking about this? This is a marketing podcast. Well, the number one complaint that I hear from everyone I work with, whether it is my full service clients or my coaching clients or my course students, all of it, 100%. The number one thing that they've got going on is not enough time to work on their marketing. It's not that they don't know how all the time. It's not that they can't figure it out. It's that they don't have enough time to work on it. So time management is key, and that is one of the reasons I'm covering it. One of the most important skills for entrepreneurs is prioritization. Prioritization is a skill, right? It is a learned skill that helps us grow because with so many tasks competing for your time and attention, it's crucial. It's critical to focus on the activities that are going to have the biggest impact on your business. One tool that can help with that is the Eisenhower matrix. I haven't mastered this to the level that I would like to, but I'm getting there. And this categorizes tasks based on their urgency and importance. The matrix is divided into 4 quadrants: urgent and important, important but not urgent, urgent but not important, and neither urgent nor important. By placing your tasks into these categories, you can quickly identify which ones need your immediate attentions, which ones can be delegated, automated, or even eliminated. One week, my podcast recordings might be urgent and important, but others, they might be important but not urgent on other weeks. It just depends on how far I've pushed it off, right? So tasks that are both urgent and important, such as a client deadline, addressing a critical issue, making sure your podcast episode is going to release on time, those should all be tackled first. On the other hand, tasks that are important but not urgent, long-term strategic planning, professional development, those can be scheduled for later, right? Another effective time management technique is time blocking. I am a Microsoft girly. I use Microsoft 365 and it automatically blocks focus time for me each day based on the openings I have on my calendar. So it tries to get me a 2 hours solid block of focus time. In addition, if I have a big project, I'll go ahead and build my own time blocks, some chunks of time to work on those different activities: content creation, client meetings, administrative tasks, things like that. By focusing on one type of task at a time, you can minimize distractions and improve your productivity. It's crazy how well that works. So if you want to do time blocking, I want you to start by identifying the key activities that make up your workday. Again, meetings, emails, whatever it happens to be. Assign each task some time on your calendar. You might decide the first 2 hours of your day are content creation. Maybe the next hour is client meetings, or the next 2 hours are client meetings. Then the afternoon to administrative tasks. The key to successful time blocking is to treat each block of time as if it is a non-negotiable appointment with yourself. During each time block, I want you to focus solely on the designated activity, reduce the urge to multitask, or respond to interruptions. Personally, I find this hard to do sometimes. The meetings I have with myself are always more flexible in my mind than others, and I am a hardcore calendar follower. One of my friends told me his wife wanted to mess with him, that if his wife wanted to mess with him or any of his employees, all they had to do was stick a meeting on his calendar at the wrong location and put him somewhere far away, because he will end up wherever that is because he follows his calendar to a T. Probably one of my most effective techniques that I do for managing my productivity and my time. I still cannot believe that I find people who don't know what this is when I talk about it. It's the Pomodoro Technique. This involves working in focused 25-minute intervals, followed by a short 5-minute break. After completing 4 Pomodoros, so that's 2 hours of work, you take a longer break of 15 to 30 minutes, which is really nice to have. Pomodoro Technique is based on the idea that frequent breaks can help you improve your mental agility and help you maintain focus over longer periods. By working in shorter bursts and giving yourself regular opportunities to rest and recharge, you avoid burnout and maintain a high level of productivity throughout the day. Plus, you can always look at those 5 minute, 15, 30-minute breaks as rewards. It can be playing on your phone or reading your book on your Kindle, reading a book, responding to emails. Again, it doesn't have to be play all the time. It could be a walk down the hallway. It could be whatever it is that you need it to be. Now, to start with the Pomodoro technique, and I've talked about this before, you choose a task you want to work on. Set a timer for 25 minutes. Work on that task until the timer rings. Then take a short break, 3 to 5 minutes, whatever's going to work for you. Repeat this process until you've completed 4 Pomodoros. Then take a longer break and get started again. It's amazing how implementing a process that works for you can increase your productivity. One of these might not be the solution. Find what works for you and feel free to combine them, right? I should probably each day take the Eisenhower matrix and create it, use Pomodoros to get those things checked off, and then leverage the focus time on my calendar to get it all done. Now, as an entrepreneur, it's important to recognize you can't do everything yourself. So one way to lighten that workload is identifying tasks that can be automated or outsourced. For example, you might use social media scheduling tools that automate your posts. I use Metricool. I'll have a link to it in the show notes for you. Hire a virtual assistant to handle tasks like email management, data entry, calendar scheduling, whatever it happens to be. When it comes to outsourcing, it's important to choose tasks that are time-consuming, but not necessarily high value. This can free up your time, energy, and focus so that you can focus on the activities that really do require you, such as strategic planning, client relationship building. Easier said than done. I know. Okay. Not sure if you realize, but a lot of times I am the only person that can do something. Not really. We should all be replaceable. There are places that you offer more value. Keep doing that. But you really need to identify what you don't have to do. In a book I recently read, Who Not How, The Formula to Achieve Bigger Goals Through Accelerating Teamwork by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy, my favorite authors, they said if we free up our time by having who's help us, then we can focus on higher impact activities, which allow us to make more money. And who doesn't want to make more money? They went on further to share, we are encouraged to change our scarcity mindset to one of abundance by not avoiding costs, but instead by investing in who's. We all need to shift that perspective from viewing outsourcing as a cost to seeing it as an investment. Not all entrepreneurs can invest in their businesses. I get that. Trust me, I couldn't when I started out. I had to budget. I had to take some other things out from my budget, but I worked it out. I hired a new virtual assistant, Carol. She's amazing and is truly an investment in my business. That is what you need to find. Now, let's talk a little bit about the importance of high impact activities. One of the keys to maximizing your productivity as an entrepreneur is to focus on those high impact activities. These are tasks that directly contribute to your business goals, generating leads, closing sales, creating valuable content like this podcast. By prioritizing these activities over less important tasks, you can really ensure you're making progress towards your long-term objectives. A task that I'm working on right now with this is my podcast. Does the world really need me to do all the cutting and pasting, creating the Canva graphics, picking out the quotes? Not necessarily. How much value am I really adding beyond the recording and the scripting and identifying what I'm going to be talking about? I could be writing copy for my sales page, creating an ad for my next course launch or webinar. That's really where I can add value. So I'm investigating what outsourcing my podcast or editing or parts of the process, if not the editing, to someone else, everything's worth a try. My assistant, Carol, who I mentioned before, is amazing here. She's always asking me, can I take a part of that? I love her for that. And we do look at everything. Also, if I look at a task and go, ugh, I do not want to do that, I can send it over to her. But that's what's important, is identifying what those things are. Now, as entrepreneurs, it's easy to fall in the trap of working around the clock. However, this can quickly lead to burnout, decreased productivity over time. That's why it's so important to prioritize self-care, set boundaries between your work and personal life. One strategy that's worked well for me is establishing clear off hours when I'm not checking emails or taking work calls. That might mean setting aside evenings, weekends for family time, hobbies, relaxation. By giving yourself permission to step away from work, you can recharge your batteries and come back to your business with renewed energy and focus. It's important to also note that we are business owners. Give yourself permission to think about your business whenever you want to think about it, whenever you are thinking about it. I love thinking about it. I love thinking about my clients. I love thinking about what's next. And that's really what's important. So finally, let's talk about some productivity hacks and habits that can help you thrive as a multitasking entrepreneur. One of my favorites is the 2-minute rule. If a task can be completed in 2 minutes or less, do it right away. Do not add it to your to-do list. This can help avoid procrastination and keep your workload manageable, because if you've got a lot of those 2-minute things that you're saving up, they can add up. So when I go through my email, I try to block an hour for email review. And if it's going to take 2 minutes or less, I do it right then. Another helpful habit is to start your day with the most important or challenging tasks on your list. This way you can tackle it when your energy and focus are at their peak. If that's when your energy and focus are at their peak, and avoid the temptation of putting it off until later. Some people call that eating the frog. I find that if I do it, get it out of the way, the rest of the day is a lot less stressful. So I was putting off an assignment that was due. I think I was actually late because I felt like I was already so far behind on it. And I procrastinated because I'd already procrastinated on it so long that it was actually scary and I didn't want to see how far behind I was. So then I wasn't sleeping well. And then I really didn't want to do it. And I just finally had to get it done. So I sucked it up, went, logged in, got it. And it wasn't nearly as bad as I was imagining it was going to be. It was horrible. The amount of time that I wasted for something that really wasn't that hard or that time consuming in the end. So big caution, okay, before you procrastinate. Now, maximizing productivity as an entrepreneur is all about finding the right strategies and techniques that are going to work best for you. By prioritizing your tasks, using automation, and even delegation, okay, will allow you to focus on those high impact activities so you can make the most of your time and energy. Setting boundaries, prioritizing self-care, you can avoid burnout and maintain your passion for your business over the long term. Thanks for joining me on this episode of the Imperfect Marketing Podcast. Until next time, I look forward to seeing you on another episode of Imperfect Marketing.